Rev up your engine. Soldier just bought the CRV for $2,000. It has 201,000 miles on it. You look around, it came pre-bashed and dented in. Realize that at most body shops, to fix this stuff, they're probably going to charge you close to $2,000 just to do that. It will run exactly the same with or without the dent. If you don't mind buying a dented car, now is the time to buy it. It's a Honda CRVs. I've seen these things with 500,000 miles on it. So the first thing I want to do is look under the hood. A 2.4 inline 4 VTEC Honda, one of the best engines Honda ever made. They are excellent engines. Now, he's saying sometimes it gets a little bit of hesitation in it, so we're going to look at the most obvious thing on the planet. The air filter. So after we wrestled this crap off, what's inside? One of the dirtiest air filters I ever saw. You don't get enough air going into your car, it's going to run like crap. Ages ago, my old photographer at CBS in Houston, his Honda failed the emissions test. And all I did was put in a new air filter, then it passed the test. So we're going to get one of those. But while we're analyzing, I'm going to look at a spark plug too. So now we're going to pull out a spark plug to see what shape they're in. So I'll pull out a spark plug, take a look at it. They tell you a lot about what kind of shape the engine is in. Getting old, I can't twist like I used to. And out it comes. And what do we see? Pretty much good news. Now it's worn, you could replace it, but you see it's that nice kind of tannish color. That means it's running pretty good at a good temperature, and it's not covered with black soot, so this is not an oil burner. Now, if it had been covered with a bunch of black crud, that's burnt carbon, burnt oil, you wouldn't want to buy it. So, you know, you can change the plugs whenever you want, but this shows that it's not an excessive oil burner, which is a good thing. Now, of course, if you want to do a thorough job, you could check all four, but it's a Honda engine. One of them's clean, odds are the other ones are clean. If it had been running really bad, I'd say, yeah, let's check them out, but it isn't running really bad. This just shows that the engine was taken care of. The engine should be in really good shape. So before we start testing it with a machine, let's get an air filter. Sticks in the hole, put the top back on. It's always fun wiggling these things on. To start by putting the main unit on, then this little hose. There, now we can bolt it on and put this on. Get nice and snug. And don't forget to tighten the air intake here. I'll get inside, start her up. Oh, the battery's getting low. Yet another thing to analyze. Probably needs a battery. Let's put the tester on it. So get the old scan tool out that does battery testing. Test the battery here. Tells you to charge the battery. Well, it keeps going dead. We know the battery's dead. Jump start it and test the alternator. These little jump boosters work fine. Now it should start right up, which it does. So we'll test the alternator. Now we rev it up. Now it's counting down to 0. You can see it's putting out some good voltage there. Now it's charging plenty. Now this is giving false information here, but I know it as a mechanic. As you can see, it says charging voltage is above the acceptable limit. Inspect the charging system. Well, there's actually nothing wrong with the charging system. This battery that's in it now is so weak and low that the alternator has to charge it too much. So it's saying the alternator's overcharging, but it isn't. When we put another battery in, that'd fix it. You don't have to worry about that. You got to understand how these machines operate when you do them. There's not a problem with the alternator. That's why you don't want to drive a car with a bad battery too long, because if you do, it will overstretch the alternator and we'll burn it out. So it's definitely time for a new alternator. While we're here, hey, all module scan, and we'll see what general shape the vehicle's in. We'll look through the stuff, no trouble codes. Okay, the anti-lock braking system has a problem, which is typical, and so does the supplementary restraint system. The airbags, they often won't work on a car this old. Use your seat belts, but we'll look at the ABS just to see what the heck's going on. Lateral acceleration sensor failure. Battery voltage failure, well, that's because the battery's weak. ECM, that's because the battery's weak. And the vehicle speed activation time is too long. Well, it doesn't have any ABS lights on, and since the battery's dead, I would put another battery in and recheck the whole system, but we'll take it for a road test. The actual data on this thing shows it really doesn't have any problems. See, because it's funny, look at the live data. The ABS warning light is off. Does not even show you there's a problem. Look at the regular data on this thing. You can see the long-term fuel trim, it's adding 3.9. It's running a little bit lean. They do when they get older. Nothing outrageous. You can see the ignition timing is moving a little bit up and down, showing that the timing chain is a little bit worn. Nothing outrageous. Might have a little bit of hesitation sometimes from that, but nothing you're going to want to rebuild the engine for. See the equivalent ratio? It's not bad. 1.00 is perfect, and this is 0.999994. Pretty close to perfect. Oh well, back it up, take it for a spin. Old car, no backup camera. Use your eyes. And yeah, the steering wheel's a bit in tatters, but Hey, so am I. Now, driving around, I can see why people like CRVs. They're not outrageously high, but they've got a nice height, so you feel safe driving over anything. Being the size that they are, they're still reasonably zippy. Really, for its age, a couple 100,000 miles, brakes work fine, and you're gonna get noises. Because as they age, Honda CRVs are just noisy. I had a customer had one with 250,000, drove from Houston to Albuquerque and back, and her bushings were worn in the back and it shook. I wouldn't have taken that thing over 60. She was found doing 100. She went there and back and she made it, so now we'll get going down the highway here. You can hear the little whine in the tranny, but it's not outrageous. And yeah, the steering wheel has a little shake to it. I'm sure that the tires are somewhat worn and out of balance, but it's structurally stable. And yeah, it kind of sounds like the Wizard of Oz in here, because the door's got a little air leak here. You can put another strip in it if you wanted, or just turn the radio up. Look, Dorothy, we're not in Kansas anymore. So what did we learn today? Well, you can still get a car for a couple of grand if you don't mind it coming pre-dented. The engine in this Honda is still in excellent shape. Can go a long time. He got it for a knockaround vehicle because you can hear the transmission whine a little. This isn't a vehicle you're going to drive 20,000 miles a year. Eventually, you'd have to do the transmission. He babies it, drives it around. It could last quite some time. And for 2,000 bucks these days, it's kind of like when I was a kid buying a car for 100 bucks. You don't expect miracles, but in this case, the engine's still good, runs, doesn't have any serious problems or anything. Not a bad deal. Really, all it needed was an air filter. People were just too lazy to even look at it. All those screws, they didn't want to take them all off. So, and I've seen that so many times on Hondas. That's the first thing I check on it. And so maybe you're looking at one, it doesn't run right. Check it out. Look at the air filter. If it's clogged, say, what kind of runs bad? I don't know. No, I want to pay less for it. And then change the air filter after you buy it. And here's some bonus questions and answers. Well, now they're claiming that the Freedom Convoy in Canada, their disruptions cost the auto industry $300 million in losses. It says that the workers missed $145 million in wages, and the companies lost $155 million in the vehicles that they didn't buy. Well, I guess if you're going to have a protest, you got to have some kind of ramifications. If not, no one's going to care. They blocked the roads, so the workers couldn't get the parts to build stuff. But really, I mean, these draconian methods that the Canadian Prime Minister Trudeau does, practically martial law stuff, to these people that basically have a very calm and quiet protest. They're just talking. They're not rioting or anything. You watch them dancing around. I watched an interview with the head that Jordan Peterson did, and the guy was very well spoken, saying, here's our points. We just want them to stop tracking us with their evil machines. Let us go and do our business as usual with this crazy trying to control everything when you really can't control it. Now there's a monetary aspect of it. Because realize, you know, they blocked the border between Windsor, Ontario, Detroit, Sarnia, and there's all kinds of car stuff. The Canadians built a lot of cars there. They still build stuff in Detroit, and it's messed it all up. Now, it mostly affects the workers in Michigan and Ontario, the two that touch together that go over the Ambassador Bridge. It led to shortages, slowdowns in the plants. I wouldn't believe a lot of the stuff that they say. Their conclusion is it's nearly $300 million in losses because they focused on lost production of assembly plants, delays, and then they put wages, production costs to this delayed or lost production. I mean, who could believe half the stuff they're going to say, we lost all kinds of money. And they even reopened it last Sunday when the authorities cleared the blockade on the Ambassador Bridge. They're just, you know, trying to make a big whine about that. Oh, we lost this money from blah, blah, blah. Who knows? They'll probably pay less taxes, uses a tax write-off or something. I wouldn't trust them. Husky says, should I get steel rims or aluminum rims? I got an 05 Sienna. It has aluminum rims. I was thinking about getting steel rims because all the bumps. But going from aluminum to steel affect weight, gas mileage, handling, performance, etc. Only thing it really affects is the gas mileage, a tiny amount. Because those alloy wheels, they're not light wheels. They got to make them thick so they hold up. The thing about steel is it's super strong, so you can make it thinner. If you want just to see for curiosity, take your rims off with the tires, weigh them, and then find one that's got steel rims, not the aluminum or the alloy ones, and put them on a scale. You'll find there isn't that much weight difference. I did that in a car, and I found that the aftermarket alloy ones, they actually weighed more than the steel ones because they had to be so thick. And they had fancy spokes, so they had to make the spokes strong. If you got a solid wheel, it's steel. Pretty solid. That's why they made them out of steel all those years. Cheap to make and super strong. So the difference you're going to find in gas mileage is minimal. The main thing is if you hit a big pothole, a huge one with the steel rim, it could bend a little. you can get a hammer and bend it back. You hit it with an alloy or aluminum wheel, it'll shatter, and you gotta buy a new wheel, and they cost a lot of money because they're fancy, cost a lot of money to make them, and they will break easier. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.